Morning all. All right, so news of the day video for all you fine people for your Sunday, January the 1st of 2023. The first video of 2023 is here. Got all my videos in last night before midnight. So yeah, first video of 2023 is this one. So pretty special. Pretty special moment. We'll just take a moment and forget it. So last night it was announced that the Heritage Classic in the 2023-2024 season will be played in Edmonton at Commonwealth Stadium. Commonwealth Stadium, the host for the Oilers and the Canadiens back in 2003. So 20 years later, back it comes. It'll be held on October the 29th of next season. So no Heritage game this year, which kind of surprised me. Sometimes they don't announce those. It seems like they're announced kind of, out of nowhere. At least last year's felt like it was kind of an out of nowhere thing. But yeah, the Heritage Classic at Commonwealth Field. I think this is going to be great. It is the first time that the Battle of Alberta will be outdoors, and when you consider that this is I think they said 38th game outdoors, it's kind of a surprise they haven't had the Battle of Alberta outdoors before. Now, what's going to be interesting to me from a Jersey perspective is, so you're doing a Heritage Classic, but both the Flames and the Oilers have gone back to their old looks. So at the Heritage game, would we have like an Alberta Oilers? Would we have maybe an Atlanta Flames nod somewhere, or maybe a nod towards another Calgary franchise that played hockey in another league? That kind of thing, right? So would they get creative, or do they just say, well, we're already wearing our old classic jerseys, so they just slap a patch on here and be done with it? So it'll be interesting to see what they do, but that should be a great game. And October the 29th, a little earlier than most outdoor games that we've seen, and that could be good too. Right towards, a couple weeks into the season, you got an outdoor game. Cool. Now, for those watching the World Juniors, I might as well start talking about Connor Bedard in this one. Now, I've talked about Bedard and all the hype and all that, and I saw the comments of, well, these points are against these countries, and it's not really that big a deal. It is, though, and so we're going to talk about it. So Bedard, in 4 games, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points. In expected goals, so if you're looking at the advanced stats, he's elite. He's way ahead of everybody in this tournament. Like, not just, his teammates, but everybody. Stankoven is number 2 in scoring in this tournament with 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points in 4 games. And that's good. And, in what I saw the game against Sweden last night, I'm excited still to see Stankoven playing for the Dallas Stars, hopefully sooner rather than later. But Bedard's elite. That 18 points, he's already tied Dale McCourt and Braden Shen for the most points at a single World Junior Championship. And with his 31 all-time points, he has tied Eric Lindros for the most points as a Canadian hockey player at the World Juniors. So it is insane that he's already equaled these records, and now they have the medal rounds upcoming. So the quarterfinals get played tomorrow. It's an all-day thing. Now, of course, this is also while we're going to see the outdoor game for the National Hockey League tomorrow, the Winter Classic. I do want to keep an eye on Canada versus Slovakia. It's not an overly busy Monday night, not early anyways, but we'll see. I did cheat a bit and watch some of Canada versus Sweden last night. Hey, the Bedard hype's got me too. So the earliest game tomorrow will be Finland versus Sweden. That one's at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. We will have Czechia versus Switzerland 2.5 hours after that. 2.5 hours later, USA versus Germany. And then rounding out the day will be Canada versus Slovakia. Canada got off to a rough start that first game and then did what I expected they would. They just ran the table from there. They ended up finishing second in their group behind Czechia, but I think they'll be fine. I mean, this is the medal round. This is usually where Canada raises their game. And again, Bedard's been absolutely unstoppable so far. So it'll be interesting to see how he does against Slovakia and whether or not he breaks the record in the first period, second period, or third. I don't think it's going to take that long. But I do think that this really shows just how far above everybody else he really truly is. Stankoven's older than he is. It's not like Bedard is one of the older players at the tournament or anything. Players that have already been drafted who are having a good tournament, way behind him in points. So that's the thing to keep in mind. The guys who are having a really good tournament, nowhere near what Bedard's been able to put up. So getting back to Oiler news, Leon Draisaitl, who did not play last night, is just seen as day-to-day. It's not seen as anything major. Undisclosed on what it is, other than bumps and bruises, according to Jay Woodcroft. So it doesn't sound like it's anything that's going to keep him out for more than maybe a week, but it's seen as day-to-day, so he could play in their next game. We'll see, but without Draisaitl last night, maybe that's part of the reason they end up only scoring the one goal against Winnipeg. If they'd had him in the lineup, maybe you get that second goal to tie it. Maybe you get three and you win it. But at any rate, Draisaitl out for now. We'll see how long he's out. Of course, McKinnon was out for a while. Came back last night. Played 22 minutes of hockey last night, so just thrown right back in there. Rough game, though, in that he had no points and he was a -3. I do chalk that up in part to the Toronto Maple Leafs just deciding they were going to win that game. I think there was a lot of pride on the line after that loss against Arizona, and they went out and played like it. So McKinnon, rough return, but it is good to see the Colorado Avalanche getting healthier and getting their players back. And so they're going to get better, and McKinnon's going to get his points, and we'll see his numbers come up too. Speaking of numbers coming up, and this was mentioned last night on Hockey Night in Canada, I believe it was Jeff Merrick who said that, Max Domi's enjoying Chicago, and Chicago likes Max Domi. So there's the possibility that he could sign an extension, and he could sign an extension as soon as today. So players who are on a one-year deal, just signed a one-year contract, are able to be extended to another year or beyond as of today. So if you got a guy signed for 1 year on the January 1st deadline, you can say, or January 1st opening date, you could say, all right, well, we'll give you a 5-year deal worth $30 million. Done. Domi would take that. But at any rate, Domi, who is coming off of really a rough go of it with a lot of different teams, it looks like he's found a home in Chicago, which is good news for him and the Hawks. He fits the Hawks. It just works. He seems to be enjoying himself. That's something that I've questioned with his play over the last couple of years. It just didn't seem like he was enjoying himself, and he definitely is in Chicago. If you watched the game last night or yesterday morning, I should say, morning for me on the West Coast, between Columbus and Chicago, you can see he's having fun. He's having a good time. And so I understand him wanting to stay in one place for a while. And I can understand Chicago looking at him and saying he's not too old. It's not like he's in his mid-30s or anything. And you can sign him to a 2 or 3 year extension, and you know what you're getting with Domi, right? So it would be nice to see him have a spot where he can stick around for a while and see what he's able to do. Kevin Weeks is reporting today that the Ottawa Senators, who have been trying to move Zaitsev, have not been able to move Zaitsev, are willing to add a high draft pick or prospect in order to facilitate a trade of Nikita Zaitsev's contract. I feel kind of bad for Zaitsev. I mean, he's getting paid, so there's the limit to that. But for the Ottawa Senators here, you can see that there's a desperation to make changes. And they want to make changes, and they don't seem to have the financial freedom to make said changes due to the salary cap. The Ottawa Senators, of course, it's been a middling year, and they're finding themselves almost 10 points out of a wild card spot. And it's reality that they're in tough now. So I don't know that a Zaitsev trade's necessarily going to happen, but when I see high draft pick or prospect included in the deal, to me only one team comes to mind, and that's Arizona. My first thought was, so the Coyotes are going to end up picking him up. The Coyotes have been good with reclamation projects too. They've been pretty good at turning players around. I look at Valimaki right now in Arizona as another example. They get the guy on waivers, and he's looked good. So for the Arizona Coyotes, I think with the high draft pick or prospect, that could be great. The one thing is, if you're a Sens fan, you don't want that to be a first this year, and obviously that wouldn't be on the table. It might be a first in 2024. Although if I was Ottawa, I wouldn't be trading first round draft picks yet. They're not that team. And if it's a prospect, how do you sell the fan base if that prospect becomes, say, a Ridley Gregg? I would think more along the lines of maybe a Yarventi. I don't think it would be Gregg, but again, I think it would have to be a pretty decent prospect for a team to take a contract off your hands and help you out with some cap space. It's expensive. It's not easy. That's part of the reason these trades aren't happening right now. Now, speaking of signings, as I said, as of the 1st, which it is today, Happy New Year again, you can sign players, and Dallas said, cool. So they have signed Joe Pavelski to an extension. So he's signed next season, $3.5 million base contract, and there are $2 million in basically incentive bonuses that are there. So it's signed for a $3.5 million base. He could earn an extra $2 million that would then get tagged onto the following year's salary cap number. So when you get those bonuses, it gets tacked onto the following year, which can mess up a team's salary cap situation that following year. But for Pavelski, a remarkable season for him. He's on pace for 80 points right now. He's been absolutely fantastic for Dallas. And I could not be happier that he's sticking around for at least one more year. I would think that playing with Hintz and Robertson, I'm not going to say it's the most fun that he's had in his entire career, but it has to be up there. I think it might be one of the best lines in the National Hockey League. And yeah, Pavelski's been absolutely fantastic since arriving in Dallas. So I'd like to thank the San Jose Sharks for not keeping him around. Just as a selfish Dallas Stars fan, it's been great to see him in Dallas. And yeah, he's going to stick around for one more year beyond this one. Absolutely fantastic news. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.